Welcome to 100 Yards of Football. And tonight, this is our legend segment. Hey guys, we've had a lot of great legends on the show, but tonight we got one that's special. All the way from Riviera Beach, Florida, North Shore High School great in three sports: football, basketball, baseball. Ball State great basketball player, Mr. Conrad Jones. Conrad, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
Man, it's been a long time, man. Long time.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has.
But man, I tell you, I remember so much about you, man, as a kid. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing when we think about where we come from, right?
Right.
The 561, Palm Beach County.
Right.
Man, the multitude of great athletes in that county, it's just really off the chain, man.
That's true. That's very true.
I can't explain it because, on the show, we've had guys from Carver, and it's something about Carver. Carver had kids from Boynton and Delray.
Right.
And then we go up to Kennedy back in those days, right?
Yeah.
And they had guys all the way from West Palm all the way to Riviera, right?
Yeah, because they only had that other school, Roosevelt. They had Roosevelt.
They had Roosevelt.
Kennedy, and everybody in Riviera, Jupiter, every place else, they went to Roosevelt.
They went to
Then
Roosevelt.
they built Kennedy. Some of the people that was in West Palm that was already at Kennedy, they stayed at Kennedy, and then someone went to Roosevelt and stuff. So that's how those two schools got like that. But before the end, we had Lincoln High School.
That's right. You had Lincoln High School.
Right.
I forgot about Lincoln High School, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so we've had on the show Lamar Parish, Riviera Beach,
JFK,
that's right. Anthony Carter,
Suncoast,
right?
VIJFK Middle School.
VIJ. And then we had the Coleman brothers on a few weeks ago.
Yep. Suncoast to JFK. Yep. You had little Michael on. Yeah, Michael bring up
we had all of them on, man.
Yeah, they all wore green and gold all they life.
So listen, so I know how Delray was, but for guys like you, how was it, man, growing up with all that talent in Riviera Beach, man?
Man, I used to watch as much sports as I could. It was almost like when I got out of school, where anybody that was on a outdoor basketball court or football field, I'm on that sideline. And most of my heroes was football, basketball, baseball players. I had more heroes as baseball players than I did in any other sport, because that was one of the reasons why I played baseball. Okay. There's very few people back in my time, especially in those early 70s and stuff, like guys just wasn't playing baseball.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, they just wasn't playing baseball, but I stuck it out. Me and a few guys stuck it out.
Right. But what's amazing, man? That's the only game that didn't call me out, right?
You could have been a great baseball player, man. You had talent galore.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something.
The key to baseball is you got to stop being afraid of that little white ball. Yes, it hurts, but that little white ball, you put the wood on it like it's supposed to, then you'll get respect.
Man, I had this thing in my head. I don't know why. I always saw myself hitting the ground of the shortstop or third, and trying to grind out to get to first base. Somebody hit me in the side of the head with that white ball. The little white ball. Now, the 240-pound guys didn't scare me, but that little white ball,
right?
It had me scared, man.
It's amazing though, but you're not by yourself, because most of the guys that I was trying to recruit out to play baseball, the first thing came out of their mouth was, "I'm not letting that little ball knock me out." I said, "Well, you rather for somebody on the?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Respect comes with being knocked out on the football field. Being knocked out by a baseball, said, ain't no respect in that. We're gonna talk about you bad the rest of your life."
You got that right.
That's exactly the way they felt.
That's right. Well, Conrad, so let me ask you this, man. So, with all those athletes in your area, who were the ones that really inspired you that was local?
Man, it was well, I'm gonna tell you this. I love Anthony Penn.
Okay. All right.
I saw Anthony Penn running from a bliss, and they were on his right side where he couldn't throw the ball. And he turned around, put the ball over his left hand and threw a 15-yard square. I couldn't believe that. But Anthony Penn, Smokey Anderson,
Yes, Smokey Anderson.
Lamar Parrish.
Lamar Parrish.
The running back from Kennedy, one of those Clark boys.
Okay.
Yeah, those was my guys on the football field.
Okay, all right.
But I had a whole bunch of them on that basketball court.
Oh man, talk about that.
Well, at one time we had so much talent in the city, and as I was growing up, I kept trying to figure out, when I get big enough, how am I going to get on one of these teams?
Right. Wow.
Because we just had so much talent, and they didn't have enough for uniforms and enough for balls. So I said, I gotta find me someplace else to go to school, because it's just too much talent. But then, from my understanding, it was talent like that in all the Black community.
All the communities.
Yeah, and the most talented schools that we've had here in Palm Beach County, people look at powerhouses, they look at Suncoast, they look at some of the other schools, but Glade Central and Pahokee had more talent than anybody.
Right?
Than anybody.
Yeah. So, so when we talk about Palm Beach County, you and I would never forget what's going on out in the muck.
Right.
Because we had to play against those guys, right?
You had to.
And those guys were big, faster, bigger than all of us, right?
Right.
And they were blue-collar kids because they all grew up on the farms, working on farms. So that's why they were so developed at an early age, right? And they're very intimidating, man. Very intimidating.
That's true.
So let me ask you this. All right. So we talk about football. You were all state in football, basketball, and baseball.
That was a busy year. That was a really busy year.
Now let me say something now. There's a lot of great athletes in Palm Beach County, but that got to put you in a category all by yourself.
There's no other athlete in the state of Florida that's all sport, all state in all three.
And all three sports.
But me.
But you. That's right. That's right. Bro, that's powerful. But I can remember, Conrad, when I was a freshman in high school. You were a senior when I was a freshman. And I remember you coming to Atlantic in basketball. And man, you were lighting us up, man. Conrad, all I kept saying, Conrad Jones. That name went in my ear gate and never left, right?
Right.
And then I started to follow you, right? And I said, man, this guy's all world, man. I mean, you were a heck of an athlete, but you were a wide receiver and safety in football.
Right.
All state.
Right.
You were a combo guard in high school. You played the two mainly, but you were a combo guard. You played the point at times.
Correct.
I pretty much could play any position on the basketball court.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I had to. Whoever was in foul trouble, I had to move to this.
You had to move that position, right.
Yeah, that's including the center. And remember, we had centers that were 6'10".
Y'all had some big boys.
And I was only 5'11". So I had to play the center position. And that was the reason why these thighs of mine, I used to push them guys around. They used to go complaining to the referees. I'm like, come on, man, I'm only 5'11".
Please. Hey, Conrad, but I'm going to tell you something. See, when you play multiple sports, it gets you ready for a lot of things.
Get you ready for the next sports.
Right. So you think about, you've been a football player, and then you had to play center at sometimes, or forward in basketball when you were a true guard.
Right.
That says a lot about your heart and your toughness to play in that paint.
Oh, had to, man. I love that paint.
You had to.
Yeah.
So in basketball, you played in high school at North Shore with Curtis Brooks.
Correct.
Right. They call him Red.
Red.
All right. You played.
No, they call him Naughty Head Red.
Naughty Head Red.
Yeah, that's what they call it.
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right. And so you played with Red. You played with Nelson.
Gerard Nelson.
And I heard he passed not a few years ago.
Yeah. Gerard. We lost Gerard about 10, 11 years ago.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And what about is it Nicholson?
Calvin Nicholson.
Calvin Nicholson.
That's one of them Nick boys from Roosevelt. They had all them Nicholson brothers that played at Roosevelt.
Oh, he one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ron and all them. See, Ron was on that 69 Roosevelt State Championship team. Kelvin was the baby boy.
Oh, wow. See, I didn't put that together. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's West Palm Beach finest.
That's West Palm Beach finest right there, bro.
Yeah, and that Nicholson family.
Oh, wow. And he was what, about 6'7", 6'6"?
He's 6'9".
6'9",
He had arms and legs that almost made him 7 foot tall. He had a wingspan on him like I don't know what. And then he likes to kick when he rebounds. So you
So,
know
in other words, he really clearing the boards.
yeah, he get him with the elbow, he get him with the foot. What kind of way he gonna get him if they close enough?
But that basketball team was special.
Yeah, we had some talent on that team.
Yeah, that team was special, and you were the leader of that unit, man. That was a special team. And you know, pretty much after you left, all of them came back.
Yeah, well, they were ranked number 1 from the beginning of the year to the end of the year until they lost that championship game.
That's right.
I followed them. I saw them play about 9 times that year.
Oh wow, man!
Yeah, and went up to the state tournament and bet $200 in my jacket to one of the guys from Bartow, because you know Bartow had already lost 12 games.
Right.
And the guy took my $200 and took my jacket. Finally, later on, and gave my jacket back. He said somebody had killed me in Bartow if they see me walk around with this North Shore jacket on. So he gave me my jacket back.
Absolutely, that's funny, man. So now, one of the things I want to talk about too, because basketball at North Shore was always king in Palm Beach County. I know my whole 4 years in high school, my junior year, we beat them twice in basketball. Believe it or not, that's when Mo Weston was a senior. We had Steve Cornelius. We had some guys.
You had some ball players.
We had some ball players, but we let our guard down in the tournament in the district and lost to Cardinal Newman. Oh my gosh. We lost to Cardinal Newman and Suncoast that year. We beat Suncoast twice, we beat North Shore twice, and Suncoast went all the way to the state title game. Yeah, it was crazy. That was Anthony Carter's freshman year in high school.
Right.
They went and played. They lost to Tallahassee Rickards.
Yeah.
In the state title game. But let's talk about your coach at North Shore, Coach Andrews. Now, he was a special guy. Tell me about him as a coach.
Oh yeah, he still is. We call him the quiet man. He was he was like a preacher. You know about them preachers. He would do all of his coaching in practice. And when we finished practice, if you had to take notes in practice mentally, you had to write them down real quick and go home and truly try to understand what your responsibility was.
Right.
That's what he expected of you.
Wow.
See, one thing about him, and I didn't have it when I was growing up playing rec ball. I never played any middle school ball because the coaches told me I wasn't good enough.
Oh, wow, really?
But that was a lie.
Wow.
But it came back to haunt him because one of them coaches was really at Watkins Middle School. And a lot of them moved to Gardens, and every chance I got on that basketball court, I tried to put my foot in them. And we did. They never beat me. They never beat me. The 3 years I was at North Shore, they never beat me. Wow. Actually, they never beat me because my first year I was at Suncoast. They never beat me my whole high school career.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I never lost to Palm Beach Stars.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
So Coach Andrews was a pretty good coach.
Yeah, man. He was. I think the most I've ever seen him upset. We were playing a game at home, and I think that officiating crew they just didn't like him.
Right.
But he always told us before we came out the locker room, he said, "Let's go out here and let's kill him like a mosquito with an axe." He said, "We're gonna jump right on him the first quarter."
Wow. And
that was the reason why we started pressing as soon as the game started.
Okay.
And we made sure when we went around that circle before the ball went up in the air, we made sure the person that we were checking knew we were checking because we said it out so loud that if we was outside, it still would have been echoed. I got him. I got number 10. And what we were doing was trying to use a little intimidation factor to let them know that everywhere you go and every time you look up, I'm going to be in your face.
In your face. There you go.
And that's just what it was. But he was one of the coaches that after I left rec ball, he was one of the coaches that taught me the refinement of actually the basics of basketball.
Right.
And I like it when we were in practice and you decide you want to be cute and you throw the ball between your legs. You lose that ball, guess what? You're running.
Oh, you're running, bro.
You go behind your back and you lose that ball, you're running.
You're running.
So if you're going to do this stuff, you were going to do it and you were going to perfect it because you always had ramifications when you made a mistake trying to look pretty.
I like that. Yeah. So that's old school basics.
Oh yeah.
That's old school. And I'll be honest with you, there were some coaches now back in those days that wouldn't allow you to do that. I don't care if you can do it or not. They just
Yeah.
didn't like you doing it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But I
That's
do
very
like
true.
a coach that understands that, okay, look, if I'm going to use these moves to get away, get open, to penetrate a defense, hey, why not if I can do it? Like we
That's
had a guy
exactly.
named
That's
Willie
exactly.
Bernard. His nickname was Jap.
Yeah, I remember him.
Jap go to his legs around his back like he just dribbling with his right hand, just walking down the court. It was
Right.
easy for him, right?
Right.
And I was a long guy. I was 5'11" too, but my stride was long. When I dribbled the ball, everything was a big step, right? And so I wasn't herky jerky like those guys were, like him and Mo Wesley, right? And so in a fast break, I can get the ball, Conrad, I can come down. I put that ball in my left hand. 1, 2, 3. That's it. Back in that right hand. Right?
Well, you couldn't do no more than 3.
No more than 3. and it's funny, right? And I was the point guard.
Right.
And I couldn't handle the ball. But so my oldest son just got married a couple weeks ago. He's 33 years old.
Right.
Conrad, when he was 5, he was playing basketball, organized basketball. And in the game, we got a defensive board. Somebody gave him the outlet. He was 5 years old now. He's dribbling down the floor, his left hand. The defender was to his right. And he was running as fast as he could all the way down and never had to move the ball to his. And I sat there. Nobody know. I sat there and go, did he just do what I thought he did?
And what you couldn't do.
I couldn't do that when I was in high school. We're talking a 5-year-old.
Man, let me tell you something. I coach my kids in travel ball, and I coach them in rec. And I saw them do some things that I was truly amazed. But these kids, they go to the park, they go to each other, they practice stuff that we never even thought about.
We never think about it. Exactly.
And it's just so amazing is that I had a crossover move and didn't even know it was a crossover until after I got 45, 50 years old.
And so
everybody was talking about Iverson.
Right.
And I had one guy that texted me about 5 years ago. He said, "You're the original crossover." He said, "Because I never seen a crossover until I saw you do it in Wells Gym." And I had to sit back and I had to think about it because that's how I got past people all the time. I had a deceitful where I could go between my legs and be moving the same time. So by the time they think about where I'm at, I'm gone.
You're gone.
I'm gone.
Gone.
Yeah. But that was so funny though. But I said to myself, he's probably right because that's how I got to the hoop all the time.
Well, Conrad, you had all the tools, and that's why you were so much better than everybody because you possessed those skills where a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, those are blessings,
when I saw
you with number of blessings, man.
Well, you know what?
It with a lot of practice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So in other words, you put the work in.
Yes.
And see, that's one thing people don't understand. Some kids grow up and say, "Well, I want to be a great athlete like that." Well, are you willing to put the time in?
Yeah.
You willing to do the work?
Yeah.
Are you willing to let your imagination take you somewhere that you've never been before? Because see, it takes all of that.
Oh yeah, and a lot of the sacrifices too and stuff. See, when I went from one sport to the next sport, I took a 2-week break just for my body to just kind of do a little.
Right.
But even during the summer months, I played all 3 of my sports. Right. I played on a softball team.
Okay.
I played on a semi-pro baseball team.
Oh, wow.
I played semi-pro. I played really travel men basketball. I played against the Puerto Rican national team.
Really?
With Butch Lee on it. Butch Lee came to Delray and beat me to death at Pompey Park. Yes. Wow. And I met a lot of guys that was NCAA. They were in NCAA.
Right.
And stuff. And I'm saying to myself, man, you still in high school and you playing against these boys and you holding your own and stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I only took a 2-week break each sport. And during the summertime, I always touched on everything because I didn't want to get behind in anything. So by the time school started, I was always 5-10 yards ahead of everybody because my body was already in shape.
Right.
So it didn't matter what sport I was playing and stuff. Physically, I was already in shape to play it. Only thing I had to do is fine tune myself mentally.
Right. Exactly. Well, it's amazing. I heard, I don't know, I was real young and I heard an interview about Jim Brown. And or somebody telling a story about Jim Brown. And the reporter made a comment about a move he made in the game.
Right.
And he said, Jim, we never seen you make that move before, Tell us about that move. He said, what are you talking about? He said, that move you made. He said, we've never seen. He said, I've done it 1,000,000 times. And the guy kept saying, Jim, we've never seen you do that. And Jim Brown kept saying, I've done it 1,000,000 times.
Right.
And then he finally told a reporter, he said, I've done it in my mind 1,000,000 times. And so what people don't understand, see, there's a mental thing with sports.
Right.
See, and I know you were that way because all the great ones have to be that way. See, I can remember even when I was a kid, 16, 17-year-old, driving down in Delray on I-95.
Right.
I'll be driving that car, Conrad. I see a car, I dip behind him, I hold it, I speed up, I kind of slow it down. And all I was doing, emulating myself running the football on the football field. I did that all the time.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And a lot of people can't relate to that.
Yeah, but everything I did, it was that thing with me with football. Right. It was, and that's the other thing. I was an average student in high school, only because I was always on the football field when I was in the classroom.
Right.
It consumed my thinking. It consumed everything about me, and so I wasn't a great student.
Right.
But I'm so thankful. I just lost one of my teachers who taught me algebra, Mr. Rufus Laurie, lived in Derry, but I think he lived in West Palm at one time, Riviera.
I've heard of him. I never met him, but I've heard of him.
Great, man. He was a math whiz. He just passed, and but I remember how he helped me because I was always dreaming to go to college and play pro ball and all that kind of stuff. But to play, you got to get them grades, and those grades got to be in check.
Yeah.
And so I would go to class and listen and can make C's and B's, right?
Right.
And I have some D's here and there. I never could pass science. I always got an F in science, right? But when I had Mr. Laurie as a teacher, the way he taught algebra, man, it just jumped out at me.
Yeah. And
I had an A in algebra. Now listen to this, Conrad. I was never a kid that skipped classes or skipped school or anything like that. And I had an A in his class and I wasn't ready for an exam. And so what I did, I skipped his class, because I said, I'm not ready. I'm not going to mess up his grade.
You're going to go back when you're ready.
And so 2 days later, he let me take it after school. I aced the test. I got an A in that class.
That's
what
awesome.
that did for me, it changed my thought process about school. And I said to myself, I could do this. And then after that, like I told you, I failed science on every level, right?
Right.
Then I took chemistry in high school. I got a B in chemistry, right? And so I'm like, oh man, I can do this thing. I just got to put my mind to it.
Right.
But the problem was my mind was never in the classroom.
No, man. When you're an athlete, I tell people all the time, they don't understand being what you call a student athlete. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us are actually athlete students. Exactly. And I had to go through that same lesson that you did because, see, when I was at Watkins in the 8th grade, I had some white teachers to tell me I wasn't going to never amount to nothing.
Wow.
I've had them to say that. I've heard them say that to other students up there. See, when we went to Watkins, they didn't want us there. It was during the years of the segregation and stuff.
Right.
And then I left there and went to Suncoast, but 80% of the kids at Watkins went to Palm Beach Gardens. I didn't want to have no more dealings with them people up there.
Exactly.
So I went to Suncoast, and I watched my grade point average go from 2.5. I watched it go to 2.7.
Right.
Then after they told me I had to go to Palm Beach Gardens after my freshman year in Suncoast, I told my mom I quit school before I go to Palm Beach Gardens. I ain't going up there. I ain't wearing no. I have trouble wearing a blue and orange shirt right now. And a lot of my classmates,
all right.
They tell me, man, come on, put this shirt on, hang out with us. Man, I have trouble putting that shirt on.
We can't do it.
I really do. But when I got to North Shore, Coach took me. Coach said, I got registered that summer about 2 weeks before school started. And Coach was taking me to meet the football coach. Okay. And I asked Coach when we were in the hallway, he said, I heard you'd like to play football. And I'm looking at Coach, and he ain't got no smile on the face. Coach didn't smile a lot now. Right. Yeah, Coach, I really like football. He said, well, I know you played on Suncoast JV, and you guys was undefeated. You only lost to Fort Pierce Central. They beat you 6-0.
Right.
And your season was 7-1. And from my understanding, you did a pretty good job. I said, well, Coach, were you doing background checks on me? He said, no, but I like to know who I'm dealing with. So we goes down and he said, well, I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let you play football. But I don't usually let my basketball players play football because they always come off the football field injured. And by the time they get right, we almost close to district time. So he said, I'm gonna let you play. He said, but you better not come off that football field hurt. So I goes in the office there and I meet the head coach. Guy used to be a drill sergeant. He was a U.S. Marine, ex-Marine.
Wow.
So he's talking, and I watched those guys play. Malcolm Cunningham, all those guys played as freshmen at North Shore because North Shore used to use our field at Suncoast to play their football games. So we used to stay after practice and watch them play and stuff. We used to sit up and be like, man, these are sorriest people in the world. A middle school team will whoop them. So we get inside there and he stand up and shake my hand. Man, I look at this man. This man was chiseled like a god.
What?
This man, he was about 6'3". Wow. I mean, I'm talking about built, man.
Wow.
And he said, well, young man, I hear you're coming to school here next year. I said, yeah. He said, you play football? I said, yeah, I play football. I'm pretty good. He said, well, what grade are you in? I said, well, I'm going to the 10th grade. He said, oh, well, that means you'll be on my JV. I said, excuse me? He said, that means you'll be on my JV. 9th and 10th graders play JV. 11th and 12th graders play varsity.
Right.
I put one of my hands on my hip. That's my mama. My mama, she thought that was with one hand on her hip. That means business. That means experience. So I put my hand on my hip. I said, man, I'm better than everything you got on your football team. He got mad and he said again, son, what did I say? I told you 9th and 10th graders play JV. 11th, 12th. Now coach is standing there. I didn't know that him and coach was like oil and vinegar. I didn't know that. Right. Coach had only been over there 1 year before I got over there.
Okay.
And I couldn't understand that. So we goes out of there and go and coach out. Coach said, man, he said, I hope you ain't that kind of person on that basketball court. But listen, I played JV that year. He tried to move me up the second football game. He tried to move me up to varsity.
Okay.
I used to come from playing my JV game and used to be a varsity uniform. We played on Thursday, varsity played on Friday. Right. But there always was a varsity uniform in my locker. And I'm like, I already have my uniform on. Who put this in here? I'm wearing number 20, and this jersey number is 81.
Right.
They wanted me to play tight end at 165 pounds.
Oh, wow. Come on, man.
I'm like, you got to be kidding me and stuff. So I never played. So I went out. I had him for history 3 years in a row. All the years I was at North Shore, I had him for history. That man tried to flunk me my 10th grade year. And because of him, my grade point average jumped up to 3.3.
See, motivation.
Because of him.
Motivation.
He motivated me.
Motivation.
But he got me back at the banquet. He gave me the smallest trophy in the building.
Come on, man.
Everybody, listen, the sportsmanship trophy was 6 foot tall.
Come on, man.
The most valuable player trophy was about 1 foot tall, and it was made of wood. Everybody else's trophy was made of marble. He got me back.
Oh my God.
He got me back.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I didn't even play my junior year because of him.
Wow.
And if it wasn't for Coach Long that asked me to come out my senior year, because I told Coach, I said, Coach, I have great hands. Right. If you don't play a running offense that's going to throw the football, I don't need to be on the field.
Right, exactly.
I can be playing something else doing that. I could be running track or something like that. But they changed the offense to a pro set with a wide out and a flanker. And I led the county in reception the first 5 games of the year.
Oh, wow. That's powerful, man.
Yep.
That's powerful.
Yeah, wow. But because of him, he was the one that spurred me on education-wise. Because when he was doing what he was doing, it made me think about those teachers when I was at Howell L. Watkins.
Absolutely. And that motivated you.
And listen, the athletic director that was at Watkins when I was there, he became the athletic director at Palm Beach Garden. And I remember every time we whooped it, he was sitting there by the door. I asked him, was that good enough for you? I would go there and ask him, was that good enough for you? Did you enjoy that?
I love it. I love it.
Go to the locker room.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like that, man. It's not like
I'm
that.
telling you, man. And see, sometimes that's what I have been preaching to kids
Right.
when I had my youth groups and when
Mhm.
I started working with kids a long time. And I
Right.
used to always tell them some of my stories to try to inspire them
Oh,
and let
absolutely.
them know there's no obstacle that you can't conquer if you put it in your mind that that's what you want to do.
Absolutely.
And nowhere in the world, a little boy that used to run around with no shirt on and no shoes on, how the world did I get away and ain't got no college loans to pay off?
Right. Exactly. You see what I'm
You know,
saying?
my mom told me when I was 6 years old.
Uh-huh.
My mom sat me down. She said, "Baby," she said, "I don't know what you're gonna do, but I know your oldest brother went to college and graduated, and nobody else in between him. But
Mhm.
between him, I don't know what you want to do." I said, "Well, Mom, I want to go to college."
Right.
She said,
Absolutely.
"Well, I want you to know I'm not going to have no college money."
Money. Right.
She told me, "If
Right.
God bless you with the brain, and
Mhm.
if He bless you with the athletic ability, I
Mhm.
hope you use both of them
Go
because
for
I ain't got." That's what drove me.
it. Amen. Amen.
My
Amen.
mom ain't had no money to send me to
Right.
school.
Right. That's awesome,
And,
man.
and if my talents and if my blessings
Right.
wasn't good enough, I'd have been right back here in Palm Beach County, probably dead by now.
Could be right.
That's true.
That was because that was, hey, that's how it was.
Yeah,
That's how it was. Well,
yeah.
it's amazing inspiration.
I'm telling you, man.
You know, and I just like, and that's why I love this show because see, whoever inspired you, Conrad, you became a big time ball player.
Well,
But you inspired a lot of people behind you watching
yeah,
you. And then next thing you know, we got this generation of athletes. All because somebody was inspired. You was inspired somebody, and you inspired somebody on down the road.
right.
And that's the important part about this show. I don't want people to forget. These guys back in the day, right?
Right,
Because if it had not been for us, going through from segregation to integration, right? You
right,
know, making things, being a part of evolution, so to speak, in our
right,
society, making things better, even though things are different, right?
right.
These kids now, you can't do without your history.
No, you can't because your history is your future.
Your history is your
See,
future.
you bring remnants of your past to your future, and the thing is that's why I tell my kids. I used to tell, listen, go home and read and listen to that Patti LaBelle song, "Pass It On."
Pass
I
up.
said that's all we're doing.
There it is. There it
That's
is.
all we're doing. We're passing on what has been passed on to us.
There it
That's
is.
all
There
we're
it
doing.
is. That's it,
Yeah.
man. That's it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
so let me ask you this question. All right. So when you were, maybe you were in middle school at the time. Or were you in middle school at the time? I don't know if you were in middle school at the time. But Twin Lakes had this guy over there playing football and basketball named Russell Robinson.
Russell Robinson.
Tell me about Russell Robinson.
Russell, let me tell you something. I called him Mr. Robinson. Russell Robinson was like a magician with the basketball.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Not only could he dribble, and I was never able to emulate him when it comes to dribble because my handles was good, but his was excellent.
His was
You
excellent.
hear me? That he had so much talent, but what I loved about him, he had these big hands.
Yes.
And if they ever called carrying back in the day, he probably would have been on the bench because he would have carried the ball every time that he touched. They let him do the things he did, and I was appreciative because I learned so much of basketball. Russell Robinson was one of the people that I used to play ball against on Saturdays inside Tate Gym.
What?
And as little as I was, you know why they picked me on their team?
What?
I couldn't shoot, but I could sure play defense and pass.
Pass, right.
If a man if he's open, I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna penetrate. I'm gonna play some defense. But I played many games over there where I maybe was on the winning team for 5 straight games and didn't shoot the ball one time. But them guys always tell me, I got a little shorty. I got a little Jones. Because they knew that I was gonna handle that ball, I was gonna take care of that ball, and they knew they were gonna get their shot all game long.
So that's big. So you had a chance at a young age to play alongside Russell Robinson.
Mm-hmm. And he flew by me like he was running a stop sign.
Oh my God!
I couldn't put no defense on him, man. It was like a Wade defense.
Oh,
Wade got it.
He was a bad boy.
Yes, he
was.
was.
I saw him play I don't know if you know Coach Roger Coffey.
Yeah, I know Coach.
Coach Coffey.
I met Coach a long time ago.
Yeah, well, so Coach, of course, he coached at Carver High.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Carver was done with and the integrated schools, he coached at Twin Lakes.
Right. I remember that.
So I was up there with Larry and Coach Coffey at a basketball game, and I saw Russell Robinson. Man, my mouth was like this.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And here's the other thing. Back in the old day, when we played basketball, Converse was the shoe, right? And so if you had black, I remember when everybody started getting white Converses, right? I was like, oh man, white Converses, right? Man, so I go to a Twin Lakes game. They come out the gym, out the locker room. Everybody got their white All-Stars on. Russell Robinson had red All-Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Man, my eyes were like, what? Like, what? Man, he was just, that made him a bigger star for me right there that night, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, see, that's what Smokey Anderson wore the tape over his shoe. He was the only one on the football field that had the white shoes on.
Spatting them up. He was spatting them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's funny, man. That's funny, man. But yeah, that guy and Bay. You remember Bay? The tailback.
Yeah, I remember him.
At Twin Lakes?
I remember him.
Special player, man. Special player.
Yeah.
I had a chance to stick my nose in there and watch just for a little bit with the Coffees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Those some great guys. And
man,
so
and Coach Coffey is a great coach, man. He was a great coach. He knew so much. But you know what I loved about him was that he was so personable. He was able to give you that unconditional love, but sometimes it came in different fashions. But he always, no matter what he did, even when he ragged you, he made sure he picked you up before you left that field. Before you left, whatever you were doing for him, he always gave you words of encouragement before you were leaving. I love that about that man. I used to watch him up close and stuff. I used to walk close to him where I could hear what he's saying.
Right.
And I used to take that stuff in myself, and I said, okay, that's going to be a part of me. That's going to be right. Same thing with Coach McCoy, Ben McCoy. Ben McCoy wanted me to play quarterback for him. Ben McCoy practiced me for a whole summer at Suncoast in between my 9th and 10th grade year before I realized they were switching me back. When they got ready to shift me out of Suncoast, Coach McCoy said, I'm going down to that school district. Let me tell you something. He had me outside during the summer. I was doing so many quarterback drills. What? I had mastered throwing that football between that tire. That was tied on that goal. Yes, sir. I had thrown so many balls because I was a baseball pitcher.
Right.
And he told me, he said, oh, this quarterback thing will be easy with you. And I'll be doggone. He put me through so many, and I was ready until they said, Miss Jones, your son's got to go to Palm Beach College. And I told my mom, I'm quitting school.
I'm done. Time out. So you didn't live in North Shores District?
In the beginning, I didn't live in their district.
Okay.
And then halfway through my sophomore year, I moved into their district.
Okay. Because my wife went to North Shore.
She did?
She didn't live in the school district.
Oh, well, there was quite a few people over there. But see, what they did was they cracked down on the athletes. Right. But the other students was able to come in. It wasn't no problem whatsoever.
But they weren't going to do no real digging into it, for a regular student, right? Because she was supposed to go to John I. Leonard.
Right.
Because Craig Lawson, my brother-in-law, they all went to John I. Leonard. I mean, they live right there, and so right off of Westlake.
That's correct. And I asked Craig a long time ago. Yeah, when we celebrate reunions, all of the class of 74, we celebrate for all the schools. Twin Lakes, North Shore, Forest Hill, John I. Leonard, Suncoast, and Palm Beach Garden. Okay. And I asked Craig all the time, I said, Craig, why didn't you come over to the show, man? Why didn't you come over to the show? We needed you over there. Right. I love that dude, man. That's a cool dude, man. I love that dude.
Craig is a funny cat, man. He's a funny cat, man. So all right, so let's get back to it. So you won state in basketball, high school.
Uh-huh.
You're all-world in basketball in high school. And now I know why. You playing with Russell Robinson. I ain't have a chance.
Man, I'm telling you, you had to. If you wanted to learn, you had to get out there. I used to go home with my eyes shut because they elbowed me. And I used to be bleeding. And I walk in the house, my mom looked and said, well, you been in a fight? I said, yeah. She said, well, where was the fight at? I said, on the basketball court. She said, well, they don't play basketball. They fight on the back. I said, Mom, this was all during the course of a basketball game. I said, but this was a good fight. I said, I'm gonna go in here and take a shower, and you give me some alcohol and let me rub some alcohol on me, and I'll be out there ready to deal with them tomorrow.
Yeah. But you know, Conrad, this is amazing, right? So when you're athletic enough, you always graduate your own class in the streets, right? And so you're forced to play with guys at least 2 years older.
2 years older, right?
That's what happened with me. And so, but what I got from doing that was toughness.
That's right.
Because see, my cousin, I had a cousin 2 years older. I played with him named Tony Scott. He played at Boca. He was an offensive lineman. And so they knocked me down. I started like I'm feeling. He'll look at me, boy. You know, get them tears out your eyes.
I ain't no shedding no tears.
Ain't no crying. So you got tough from that. But because of my athletic ability, I was always able to play with them.
Right.
And so when I brought that, and then when I got tougher, right? Shoot, I started playing on my same grade. Oh man, I was gone.
Oh yeah. Well, see, Mr. When I was growing up through the rec department, Mr. Calloway always made me play basketball with the older boy. He never let me play with my age bracket until we got ready to go play a state tournament. Right. And I was always playing with guys that was 2 and 3 years older than me. And I remember one year I was so frustrated because it seemed like nothing was going right on the court. Right. He told me, he said, no, he said, it's all going to come together. You got to stick it out. I said, no, I want to go down and play with my age group. You know, he said, no, he said, you better than all of them. Why would I go down? I said, that's why I want to go. I want to go dominate. Right. He said, no, he said, you'll learn more playing against these older kids than you will against them because what you'll do, you'll form bad habits. And he was absolutely correct.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about him for a second. Mr. Dan Calloway.
Mr. Dan Calloway.
That man has helped so many people in his life.
Yes.
Talk about him a little bit in your youth, you know, when you were young, when you were first starting out.
Well, he's been in my life ever since I've been like 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
And that was the first time that I actually went to Goodmark Park, and I'm out at Goodmark Park. He was running the park there. Okay. And I'm out there on the court, and they had the little small goals on one side, and then I'm over there shooting the ball in the big. I probably hit the rim 1 out of every 10 times I'm shooting, but he's standing there watching me. Wow. So when I would come back inside and stuff, then it was time to go home because it was right before darkness. Right. He would always pat me on the head, and he would always say, "Keep trying, son. Right. Keep trying." Right. And then he began to see that I was able to hit that rim a little bit more. Right. Not only was I able to hit that rim, a lot more of them was going in. Right. But he kept motivating me, Keep trying, son. He said, and then one day he told me, he said, you know what? He said, if you keep doing what you're going to turn out to be a really good basketball player. I told him, I said, I don't want to be no basketball player. I want to be an athlete.
Athlete. Wow.
He looked at me and he said, well, what do you know about that? I said, I want to play everything well. Everything. I said, even if I play marbles, I want to do that well. Everything. He looked at me and died laughing.
So all right. So let me ask you a question, because some of the guys I know that are just superior athletes, you can't beat them in nothing.
I'm telling you. Bro, I'm telling you, man.
If they play marbles, they're going to win.
That's right. Dominoes. If we play Trump,
horseshoe.
That's right.
Everything they play, they're going to win.
That's right.
There's a guy from Delray named Bubba Tucker. His real name, that thing is Tucker. He's my daddy's age, right? He passed a few years ago. And I think, I'm trying to find this out, I'm not sure. I think he was a first NFL draft choice out of Delray to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I got to get the information and make it the first. But my dad used to talk about him when I was a kid. I would ask my dad, who were the guys when you were in school? He said, man, Bubba Tucker, he said, couldn't do nothing. He scored. Now think about this now. Carver High, he played at Carver High. Carver High was not where Carver High ended up, in Carver Park. Right. Carver High used to be at Spady Elementary's.
Right. I remember that.
Okay. All right. So the basketball, they didn't have a gym. They had an outdoor court. Bubba Tucker scored 76 points one night in a high school game on that outdoor court because they didn't have a gym. Wow. And my dad said, he said, it's funny. He said, now you think that's crazy. I said, I think it's crazy because the game was so slow. And for him,
but then you had the elements. You had the elements of human nature.
And my dad talked about the elements. He said, man, some nights that wind be blowing, man.
Yeah.
And Bubba Tucker can shoot with his right hand and his left hand. He said it was nothing he couldn't do.
Wow.
And so when I was 14, I got a chance to work under him at Catherine Strong Center on the south side of Delray, right? And him and James Homer. James Homer was another great athlete in Delray who went to Bethune-Cookman. And so I got a chance to be there with them, man. And 14, I don't know how old Bubba Tucker, those guys that maybe in their 40s or 50s, whatever.
Right.
Man, everything he played, he was the best.
Wow.
He played softball. He hit every ball over the fence. I ain't never seen him hit one on the ground. He can jack everyone. On the pool table inside, you can't beat him. We go play basketball. You get frustrated. You can't play basketball with it. Horseshoes. Every time, Conrad, a ringer. I'm talking about every time a ringer.
Wow. That cat was good.
That cat was special.
Yeah.
And,
that's God's given talent there.
When he was a kid, he was like that. There was nothing he couldn't do. And so I was like, some guys are like that. Some guys got it like that, right?
Yeah.
But man, there's nothing though to be said though for just watching guys like that play.
Mm-hmm.
I watched Greg Dobson play. All right. And Greg Dobson was the greatest athlete I ever saw in person, because I saw him play football, basketball. Now I wasn't a baseball guy, but he was the best baseball player at Carver High.
Right.
And he was a pitcher. And so he was in the Mets organization in minor leagues, years later. But and then I played with Mo Wesley. And Mo Wesley did everything.
Mo liked to beat us in the district finals with the year we won the state championship by himself.
He almost stole it.
Yep. They moved him up from the JV team, and our star guard, Barry Logan and Curtis Brooks. Curtis ain't never played no defense anyway.
Okay.
Barry played defense. Mo ate him alive that night. Mo almost beat us, and I said, "Coach, let me check it." Coach said, "No, I need you back there near the ball when it comes off the rim." I said, "Mo like to whoop us," and I walked up to Mo and shook his hand. I said, "I hope to never ever play against you again. I'm glad I'm a senior."
Well, now listen. So that's his 10th grade year. His junior year, he never lost to North Shore.
He never did.
We beat North Shore twice his senior year.
Well, see, when he almost beat us in the district, he was letting them know what was what.
What was what?
Yeah, because he I think he scored 29, and we beat Atlanta by 40 points the Friday before the end of the season.
Exactly right.
Then we get them on a Saturday night in a district final, and the only difference on that team is Mo.
Wow.
It's the same team. And they put Mo in the starting lineup, and Mo gave us more trouble than anybody in our conference the whole year.
Well, that's funny, man.
I'm telling you, man.
But Mo was that kind of guy. So
he was so talented.
Mo Wesley was a year ahead of me, right? And then I played with another guy named Keith Washington.
Right. I remember him.
I don't know if you remember Keith.
I remember Keith.
Keith played football. Keith played baseball. Now, baseball was his game.
Right.
And then Keith almost jumped 24 feet in high school long jumping.
Wow.
And we can only get him on the track team when the baseball game and the track meet lined up with each other, right?
Right.
So if he's playing a baseball game in Atlantic and we had a track meet, we'll steal him and make him run an event, give us some points, and he'll go back to the baseball game, right?
I tried to do that at North Shore, but somebody told that Coach Conrad's over there on the track field. Coach Holland, I'm like, get your butt over here. I'm like, I was trying to split my time between both of them sports doing the same year.
Man, it's nothing like that though, man. But that's good stuff. So I always play with some guys like that. But Conrad, again, you got to be the greatest of all time because nobody.
Let me tell you something, man.
Nobody has ever been all state in all three, and nobody's ever done that, bro.
That's a lot of work, boy. That was a lot of work.
We honor you. We give you that title. You're the GOAT, the athletic GOAT in Palm Beach County. Nobody's ever done that. Nobody's ever done it.
Well, I'm waiting on somebody else where I can actually congratulate them myself.
Well, we do hope for that, right?
Yeah, I pray for that. I pray for that. Sometimes when you're the one of only one of something, you want to share that with somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
You really want to, because you know that if that person does come along, you know what that person had to go through
to do it.
That's exactly.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. When that person comes along, I hope that we're here so we can go check him out.
That's why I say I've been praying for years, man.
Ain't nothing like going to check out. Ain't nothing like saying some talent like that.
And I stay on the internet searching to see, can I find somebody. I've ran into a lot of them that maybe was football or basketball and track,
right?
But none of them had that baseball,
the baseball
thing
part.
in there.
Right.
Yeah. Nobody. A lot of them it was just something. And then the black kids in my community, they just stopped playing baseball.
They stopped playing baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, they just stopped playing baseball. You know, I remember we won the Little League state championship in '69.
Oh, wow.
My Little League team, and that was a part of Mr. Callaway's program, and he had a coach named Hosea Jackson. Hosea Jackson was the individual that devoted so much of his time to athletes in Riviera Beach. He was like a mini Mr. Callaway, him and Mr. Clark Martin. Okay. You know, those was like the Three Stooges there. But they were the good Three Stooges and stuff. Man. They instilled so much in us.
Man.
And Hosea would coach a Little League baseball team and a football team and a basketball team, but he was always the all-star coach. Anytime we left Riviera to represent Riviera anywhere, he was our coach and stuff. And it was just so amazing. I learned so much from him because he had such he was so heady, and him and some of Mr. Callaway thoughts was intertwined and stuff. He was almost talking to, and now Mr. Callaway like 6'3", maybe 180 pounds. Hosea was like 5'8", about 210 pounds. But and he had this big head. But what came out of his head and the stuff that came out of his mouth made us great people, not great athletes, just great people. And a lot of us have turned out to be great men, great community men, people that go back in the community and do things. And that's why I was telling you about passing it on. See, he was doing that way back then. You know, and the only thing I'm doing right now is doing what they taught me, and I pass it on. You know, I go in stores right now, and I have some of my ex-athletes. They say, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" And they got their kids with them, and some of them got their grandkids. And then they said, and then they asked me, "Well, coach, when you gonna come back out and start coaching? I want you to coach my grandson." Man, are you crazy? I done coached y'all for 40-something years. You coach your own child like I coach. But you know, when I go through the cash register and I go sit in the car, I feel so good because of the respect that they give me. And then for him to say, "I want you to coach my child." Because I know what I am. I know what you helped me become. I want you to help my child and my grandchild. And that makes me feel so good.
Well, there's nothing better than that, Conrad. Yeah. I mean, you know, especially when you give back, and you know, one of the things I did when I started playing for the Falcons, you know, I was kind of like, I was 34 years old, didn't know what I was going to do with myself, and my oldest son, when I told you when he was 5, he was playing basketball, wanted to play basketball, and I said, okay, but we're not going to play in our neighborhood. I'm gonna go find y'all a Tate gym. I'm gonna go find y'all a Pompey Park, right? And that's what I did. I went looking and I found one in Decatur, well, in DeKalb County, in Doraville. And a lady who was going to my church at the time said, "You need to go check this out." Because my son, Trevin, and I used to love this kid, Trevin, he plays over there. So I went over there one day, called myself gonna go about an hour. I was over there about 4 or 5 hours, man.
Yeah, because you saw you saw a good program being run like it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be run.
Yeah. So see, now I refereed youth football when I lived in Atlanta. I lived in Atlanta for 10 years, and I refereed youth football. I saw some of the most fascinating programs that I've ever seen in my life.
Oh man, when you start talking about Gresham Park, North Clayton, Redan, Glenwood Hill. You know, all that in there. And we played at, in DeKalb County, we played at North DeKalb Park, right? And so I put my kids in that program. And then I started coaching basketball because I got 4 boys. All of them played basketball.
Wow.
And Conrad, I'm telling you right now, it was the best time of my life, man.
I'm telling you.
Bruh, all that ball playing I did.
Yeah.
Couldn't even come close.
No. See, because the thing is that you knew that was just a game.
Right.
When it comes to dealing with your children and stuff, that's life.
That's
because
life.
You're teaching them more than just basketball.
And then the opportunity to coach other kids. And just like you're talking about, I see them all the time. And they'll start talking about some of those old days. It may make you feel good, man. It
Yeah.
makes me feel special, man. And that's not like that, passing it on. Just pass.
Oh, yeah.
Well, look, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, man.
Likewise.
I've been looking forward to this for a while, getting you on here. I'm so glad we had the opportunity tonight. We're going to have to do it again. Matter of fact.
Oh, yeah, we do that, man. And you know what? I'm going to speak to Mr. Calloway about, getting in touch with you. I'm going to get you his digits and have you to call him and stuff. And he's going to tell you about a friend of ours, Ed Walker, that played baseball at Suncoast, that Michael Coleman talked about at the end of the program.
Yeah.
He's one of the only black kids from Riviera to go off to a major college and play baseball. And boy, you talking about a hell of a shortstop.
Wow.
He was, you remember Ozzy, what's the boy name? Ozzy that played shortstop for the Cardinals.
DeWiz.
He played ball like him.
What?
They called him groundhog because if you ever hit the ball on the ground, it wasn't going through that hole.
I love it.
It was not. I'm going to hook you up with him too.
Well, hook me up with him, man. Hook me up with him.
I'm telling you. He is one of the few blacks to ever leave Palm Beach County on a baseball scholarship to a major school. And he went to LSU.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. You gotta hook me up with him, man.
I'm gonna hook you up, but we're gonna do Mr. Calloway first.
Oh, we're gonna do that. Well,
yeah,
Conrad, hold on a second. Don't go nowhere. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's our show tonight. Mr. Conrad Jones, Palm Beach County great, from the 561. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure having you on tonight, man. God bless
you, sir. I appreciate it.
If you like the show, like it, comment, share with your friends. Tell them about 100 yards of football in our legend segment. Conrad, thank you so much again, man. God bless you.
Kudos to you, my brother.
All right, man.
God bless you.